Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. This time, we're taking a look at Sofia Ulrikson's Behind the Red Wooden Door.
Ooh, interesting choice.
Right. And for this deep dive, we're working with a few, how do I put this, intriguing excerpts.
I do love a good excerpt, gets the imagination going.
Exactly. So, no major spoilers here. Think of it as a little taste test.
To see if it's worth adding to the old reading list. I like it.
Okay, so right off the bat, Ulrikson drops us into this incredibly vivid scene. Our protagonist, Drew, wakes up in this, well, kind of unsettling landscape.
It's unsettling how.
Think endless golden fields, not a soul in sight, and absolutely no clue how she got there.
It's giving very much lost in a dream vibes.
Totally. And to make things even weirder, there's this solitary red wooden door just standing there in the middle of nowhere.
So that's where the title comes in.
Yep. It's obvious this door is important, like a symbol of something Drew needs to face.
But of course, there's hesitation.
Well, yeah. Drew's not exactly known for jumping into the unknown.
You get that sense from the excerpts.
Oh, yeah. She seems very much a creature of habit, comfortable with routine. So naturally, her first instinct is to turn away from the door.
Makes sense. Avoidance is a pretty common human response, especially when we're scared of what we might find.
Exactly. So we have this mysterious dreamscape, and then bam, Ulrikson brings us back down to earth with Drew's everyday life.
Just
Pretty ordinary, actually. Working at a grocery store, dealing with customers, the daily grind.
interesting. So you have this juxtaposition between the mundane and the fantastical.
Right. And that contrast really pulls you in. You start to wonder, what's the connection? What do these dreams mean? And what's with the red door already?
The mystery deepens.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of mysteries, let's talk about Petra,
Who's Petra?
Drew's closest friend. But wouldn't you know it, she moved abroad right before our story begins.
Classic timing.
Right. So now, all Drew has are these scattered memories and unanswered texts.
Ouch. Sounds like there's some unfinished business there.
For sure. You could feel the weight of this unresolved issue, like Petra took a piece of Drew with her when she left.
And how does Drew deal with that?
Well, she kind of throws herself into work, tries to ignore the growing emptiness. But then she has this chance encounter with Bonnie.
Okay, who's Bonnie now?
She works at a bookstore, and she's like a breath of fresh air, warm, open, easy to talk to.
Sounds like the opposite of Petra.
In a way, yeah. It makes you wonder if Bonnie's meant to fill that void left by Petra, or if she represents something completely different for Drew.
A new path, perhaps.
Maybe. Okay, but before we get too cozy in the bookstore, we got to go back to those dreams because things are about to get a whole lot weirder.
Oh, I do love a good weirder. Do tell.
So Drew encounters this little girl in the dream world, but she's not your typical, innocent child.
What, she's got like a monster truck and a leather jacket?
Not quite. Think creepy mask, cryptic riddles, and a definite connection to that red door.
Okay, now that's creepy.
Right. It's like she's trying to guide Drew, but in a very unsettling, almost menacing way.
I am intrigued.
And guess what? Drew actually steps through the red door.
No way. What's on the other side?
This bizarre underground network of tunnels and rooms. Ulrikson calls it the burrow.
A burrow. As in like a rabbit hole situation.
Exactly. It's described as both inviting and creepy. Imagine earth walls, glowing lamps, and this overwhelming sense of being watched.
And of course, more red doors, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah. Scattered everywhere, like different paths, choices, possibilities. It's a lot to process.
It does sound like a goldmine of symbolism.
Totally. And we're just scratching the surface here.
A mere glimpse into the rabbit hole.
Exactly. So are you hooked yet?
You bet. Can't wait to see where this goes. So in one of these excerpts, Drew stumbles upon this central chamber in the burrow.
Oh, yeah. The one with the massive desk.
Exactly. And get this, it's covered in all these tiny locked drawers, like hundreds of them.
It's such a creepy image. Makes you wonder what secrets they're hiding.
Right. And it's not just about physical secrets. This whole setup is like a metaphor for the parts of ourselves we keep locked away. The stuff we don't want to face.
It's like those drawers are holding all of Drew's deepest fears and desires captive.
Ooh, I like that. And of course, Drew's immediately drawn to them. But just like with the red door, there's this hesitation to actually open them.
Makes sense. She's already dealing with so much.
Oh, absolutely. Work, her feelings for Petra, this new connection with Bonnie, and these increasingly bizarre dreams, it's no wonder she's feeling overwhelmed.
Right, and that anxiety starts to manifest in some really unsettling ways.
Like when she's chasing the little girl through the woods, and suddenly, bam, she's confronted by this other figure.
The one that looks like Petra. Talk about creepy. It's like her past is literally haunting her.
Totally. And it gets even weirder. Drew starts having these episodes where she feels completely detached from reality.
Oh, you mean like when she's at the grocery store and everyone just vanishes? Yeah, that was eerie.
Exactly. It's like a part of her is trying to escape all the pressure, but she's still tethered to the real world.
So is that connected to the dreams? To the little girl?
That's the thing. Ulrikson is a master at blurring those lines. You start to question what's real and what's not.
It's all a bit mind-bendy.
Totally. And to add to that feeling of instability, there's this recurring theme of people ignoring Drew.
Oh yeah, like she's becoming invisible, which is the opposite of what she wants, right?
Exactly. She craves connection, validation, but she constantly feels overlooked. It's this painful paradox that Ulrikson captures perfectly.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it all kind of culminates in that scene where Drew breaks down and tells her dad she just can't keep going like this.
Ah, yes, that raw, vulnerable moment.
It feels like a turning point, you know, like she's finally prioritizing herself.
For sure. She's setting boundaries, saying no to the demands of others. It's empowering.
And what's even better is that she starts to reconnect with her passion for photography.
Oh, right. That scene with her and Bonnie in the forest, it's like she's coming alive again.
Exactly. But here's where things get really interesting. Remember those episodes of dissociation?
The vanishing people thing? Yeah.
Well, it turns out they're directly linked to the little girl and the burrow.
Wait, what? So it's not just stress? There's something else going on.
That's the brilliance of Ulrikson's writing. She keeps you guessing, blurring the lines between psychology and the supernatural. It's like she's saying, hey, what do you believe?
Okay, so what's the connection? Is the little girl trying to pull Drew into the burrow?
It's almost as if she's trying to show Drew something important, like a guide or a messenger from her subconscious.
But Drew is resisting.
Well, yeah, it's a scary place, full of secrets and unknowns. But as she starts to embrace her desires and prioritize herself, guess what happens?
She goes back to the burrow.
You got it. But this time it's different. There's this urgency, like she needs to understand what's hidden in those locked drawers.
So what's in them? What secrets are they keeping?
Remember all those cryptic riddles the little girl was spouting? They were clues
Clues to what?
to unlocking the drawers. And when Drew finally figures it out, she finds scrolls.
Scrolls, like ancient scrolls.
Not quite. These scrolls contain Drew's own words, her thoughts, and memories. But they're twisted, distorted, reflecting all the fears and insecurities she's been carrying around.
Whoa, that's heavy. It's like her subconscious is holding up a mirror, forcing her to confront her dark side.
Exactly. And it's not pretty. She sees how her fear of rejection, her need for validation, it's all been shaping her choices and relationships.
So what does she do? How does she react to this?
Well, it's not a pretty picture, that's for sure. But, you know, sometimes you got to face the ugly truth before you can start to heal.
So how does she handle it? Does she just crumble under the weight of all this self-awareness?
Actually, no. It's kind of amazing. This confrontation becomes like a catalyst for real change.
So what changes? Does she suddenly become this, like, super confident, self-assured person? Not exactly. It's more of a process, you know? She stumbles, she questions, she has moments of doubt, but she keeps moving forward.
And how does this newfound awareness affect her relationship with Bonnie? I mean, Bonnie seems to represent this, like, healthy connection, right?
It's interesting, right? There's this scene where Drew actually opens up to Bonnie about her insecurities. Like, she's worried she's going to push her away with all her baggage.
Oh, man, I remember that part. I was like, ooh, risky move, Drew.
Right. But Bonnie totally surprises her. Instead of freaking out, she listens with this incredible empathy and understanding.
It's like she sees Drew for who she really is, flaws and all, and she still chooses to be there.
Exactly. And that's what makes their bond so special. They create this safe space for each other to be vulnerable and grow.
It's such a stark contrast to the dynamic she had with Petra. With Petra, it always felt like there was this, like, unspoken pressure to be perfect, to be the fun one, the carefree one.
Yeah, it's no wonder she felt so drained all the time.
Totally. And speaking of Petra, how does that whole situation play out? Because it's pretty clear there's a lot of unresolved stuff there.
Well, Drew does try to reach out, hoping to mend things, but Petra's not really interested.
Ouch. Yeah, that leave me alone text was rough.
Yeah. It's like a reminder that sometimes, no matter how much we want to fix things, some relationships just run their course.
It's tough, but it's
Yeah.
true. But, what's important is that Drew doesn't let that rejection define her.
Right. She recognizes that she can't control other people's actions, only her own reactions.
And one of those reactions is actually pretty inspiring. She decides to go to therapy.
Now that's self-care.
Right. It's like she realizes she can't do all this heavy lifting on her own. And through therapy, she starts to explore some of her childhood experiences, those early wounds that might be shaping her behavior.
It makes you think, doesn't it, about how much our past can influence our present.
Absolutely. So where do we leave Drew at the end of this whole journey?
We see her embracing her true self, flaws and all. She's found this amazing connection with Bonnie. She's reignited her passion for photography. And she's actively working on healing those deeper wounds. It's like she's finally stepping into her power.
It's a powerful message, right? That even in the darkest of times, there's always a path towards growth and healing.
And sometimes that path leads us right back to ourselves.
Ooh, I like that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what do you think? Has anything in Drew's story resonated with you?
Maybe a relationship that needs mending, a passion you've been neglecting, or a part of yourself you've been hiding from.
We encourage you to explore behind the red wooden door for yourself. You might be surprised by what you discover. And hey, if Drew's journey inspires you to do a little soul searching of your own, well, that's a pretty awesome outcome, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Until next time, happy reading, everyone.